All righty, folks, there was a lot to digest in the first discussion with Mr. Dan Bird. Lots of key numbers, lots of stuff to watch. So again, if you haven't seen that, it was posted at Sunday at 5 p.m. This video goes live at 7 p.m. Sunday. We're going to look at semiconductors and software. Again, two very hot areas. Dan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, thank you for doing this on a Sunday. We're doing a little bit earlier than normal because we both got stuff to do. I do want to apologize to the audience and yourself. Last week, you sent off a midweek recording that my team missed, so we did not load it.
They got the midweek. They got the midweek. They didn't get the weekend recording.
The weekend one. So again, I apologize. My team messed that up. My audience loves you, so my team missed that. They still have a lot of interest in everything you bring. So please keep coming back every week.
Yeah, absolutely. I had one person sent me an email saying, "I'm really sorry you're not doing it anymore. I look forward to it every weekend." Almost go beg Zuber to put you back on.
No, it was clearly an error in communication. My daughter came home and I don't know. I got crazy and spent time with her. So my mistake.
That's all right. I know you and your listeners are primarily real estate folks, so you might get bored with all this stock market.
I think you would be shocked at how many people are excited by what you bring every week. So let's get into it. Let's talk about semiconductor and software. What do you got for us?
All right, let me share and start it off with my newsletter if anyone's interested. I think a lot of people are already getting it, frankly, because the requests have been dwindling lately, but that's okay. Send me a note to breakpointtrading@gmail.com and I'll add you to the list. I'll send you last week's and you'll be added to the list. And it's free and I don't sell emails or any of that kind of stuff. It's really just for my own research, and then I share it with other folks. So what I want to do in this section is we talked about the sectors, right? The leading sectors. This is year to date.
Yeah.
The three aggressive growth sectors have been leading the market for the whole year: technology, communication services, and discretionary. We're going to dive into the technology. That is the largest by market cap, the largest of the sectors. So we're going to dive a little bit into that one in particular.
Okay.
So this is the XLK. That's the technology as compared to the S&P. And you can see ever since the beginning of the year, it's just been, outperforming. If this is going up, it means it's outperforming the one that is compared to the S&P in this case. Mm-hmm. Got a little retracement in April, and then in May it took off, and NVIDIA was a big part of that. This is what semiconductors look like. So again, we're comparing semiconductors to the S&P in this middle panel, and you can see they had a retraced a bit in April, and even part of May, but then middle of May just took off.
Now that's like obviously that's NVIDIA, that's AMD, that's Intel. Those guys?
We'll look at all of the stocks that are in that sector here. Just a second.
All right.
And this is software. Software actually, if you compare the two, semiconductors and software has actually been outperforming longer and better than semiconductors have.
I would not have guessed that.
Since January. So software is just really taking off. Now there's a lot of stocks in semiconductors, but there's a lot more in software. There's a lot of smaller ones in software also.
That makes sense.
So the one down below, this panel, just below this main one, is the actual. It's not comparing it to the S&P. It's just the actual XLK, or software rather. That's the software trend. And then the one below that is comparing software to the XLK. So this one up here is comparing software to S&P. The one down here is comparing it to its own sector.
Got it.
XLK. Okay. If we go back and look at semiconductors, you can see semiconductors in this April period actually started to underperform the technology sector, whereas software continued to outperform the technology sector. All right. Before we look at some of the actual stocks, I wanted to show you something that was really interesting, because one of the things that folks have been talking about is the breadth. The whole market's been being led by the big cap tech
Yeah.
companies.
Eight stocks that are holding up the market, all that.
Which is true. And this kind of proves it. So what this is it compares the equal weighted S&P to the weighted S&P. So the SPY, SPY is the ETF that tracks the S&P, but it's weighted towards the bigger stocks, the bigger market caps. So the bigger the market cap, the more weighting you get in that one. Whereas the RSP is the same S&P stocks, but it's giving every single one of them an equal weighting.
Okay.
All right. Now this compares that equal weighted to the market weighted. And you can see, because it's been dropping like a rock,
right,
that proves that the market really has been driven by just a few big names.
Yeah, and it's the big boys. Yep.
Right. So when you start comparing equal versus weighted, you can see that it's underperforming. So it's really just the big boys.
Okay.
This is the Russell 2000. So this is interesting because it has been lagging everything else.
Yeah.
And that's something.
Yeah, almost weak. Yeah.
Yeah, something else that I hear a lot, the market really can't get back to the highs because small and mid caps aren't participating. And that's mostly what the Russell 2000 is, the small and mid cap companies. And that looks like it's true as well. Although after this big decline since February, it's kind of bottomed or started to trade sideways right here. All right. In fact, some of these other indicators are starting to imply that it's gaining some strength, some momentum strength in through here. Now, if we take this Russell 2000 and break it down into growth versus value, it's a very different story. In fact, if you look at these two panels, the one down below is just the Russell 2000. That's similar to what I just showed you, where it went down and now it's just going sideways. See that? But if you compare the growth stocks in the Russell 2000 to the value stocks in the Russell 2000, they are significantly outperforming. So again, growth is outperforming value. This to me is telling me that Wall Street is starting to accumulate even the mid and small cap stocks, getting ready for a big breakout.
So again, the deep pockets, the traders who can't get in and out in a day or a week or a month, perhaps, into their positions, they're basically, is it fair to say that they're teeing up to say the Fed beat inflation? We're going to see inflation roll over. If we have a recession, it will be shallow and short. They don't see a deep, dark, scary future.
Yes, all the things that I've been saying.
Very true.
Exactly right. So they are accumulating growth stocks in the Russell 2000, even as the Russell 2000 just goes sideways. In fact, even as the Russell 2000 was dropping between February and April right here, they were still accumulating growth. Growth was going up. So watch that, because if the small and mid caps start to catch up with those big names, and we start to get more breadth across the market.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's a key point, right? In order to see the 48.15 or whatever, 48.18, you do need more breadth, but it's sitting there for you.
That's
right. Okay, I got you.
It's waiting to participate. Just sitting on the sidelines, sitting at the bus stop, waiting for the bus to arrive.
Okay, I like it.
All right, so this is let me start from the beginning on this one. This is stock charts. If I go to, and you can do this even with the free version. I go to charts and tools, and I go down here to sector summary. I can look at all the sectors, and I can see technology is at the top, just like I showed you before. This is as of Friday. Technology is at the top, and discretionary and communications are right below it. If I click on technology,
odd that real estate's in fourth place. Sorry.
Yeah, that is odd. So if I click on technology, now I can see semiconductors right there at the top, and software is in fourth place. Okay. But if I click on semiconductors, it then shows me all of the stocks in the semiconductor group.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that big.
All right. Yeah, it's Let me see. I don't think it gives me a number, but I can do it another way. So what I've done is I created a scan. I did this on my own and created a scan that had all of the industry groups in it. All right. So this is basically in stock charts. It's basically a scripting language. It's not very difficult to learn, but these slashes mean ignore that line. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So these are all, this is the communications services sector. There's internet publishing. All right. This is consumer staples. There's the cyclicals. Here's energy, financials, healthcare, industrials, materials, real estate, and technology. So all of these have slashes, so it's ignoring them all. So I just took the slashes off of semiconductors.
Got it.
So now I want it to go out and just give me all the semiconductor stocks. So now when I run the scan, there's all the semiconductors ranked by this Scooter score is a proprietary stock charts score that ranks it based on technical strength. And NVIDIA is at the top. So this is one way that you can identify strong stocks, at least strong technical stocks, and start to look at the list to see which ones you want to maybe invest in. All right. So then I can save this. I'm going to save it to what I call a scan. I have a kind of a dump. I just dump all the stocks into one place.
Sure.
It overwrites what was there. And now I can play around with it and do different things. So I can look at, percent change on Friday. Marvell Technology was the one that went up the most on Friday. And you can see if I hover over it, you can see the chart right there, how much that went up. NVTS, that one went up, but it hasn't exceeded its high. So there's some in here that haven't yet participated in the semiconductor move.
Okay.
And maybe those are the ones to look at. Here's Ambarella, which was a really hot one at one point. So I can look at this one and look at the chart. You can see that. There's the chart for that one. If I look at Marvell, that one exploded. They reported earnings as well last week.
Yeah. Another NVIDIA big beat. Yep.
Yeah. Here's NVIDIA. We looked at that before. AMD. AMD they didn't report, but they went up in sympathy. Now, AMD is one that I bought just like with NVIDIA. I bought a small tranche just before earnings.
Right.
Just a small one, so I wouldn't really get hurt if it went down a lot.
Okay.
It did go down a lot. It dropped all the way down here, and then I added a lot more right there.
So you didn't have, just again to go back to things you're teaching me, on your first tranche, you did not have a stop loss because you were looking to potentially buy more. Is
Correct.
That right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no stop loss because I bought it just before earnings.
Right.
And there was no way to know what it was going to do.
Yeah, you were hoping to build a bigger position. Okay, got it.
That's right. So it went down and I added more to it. You can see it's below the 21 day. And then it went up above the 21 day and added more right there, right when it went above it. And then it's really started taking off over here. And I was actually waiting for it to come back to the 21 again. And then NVIDIA happened.
Yeah. So you're up roughly 50% on that trade.
That's right.
That doesn't suck.
I actually exited that trade.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. Because look how far away it is.
Now,
look how far away it is from the 21.
Yeah, I'm just trying to learn. So did you exit because of the chart, or did you have a number in mind, or?
I exited because of the chart.
Okay. All right.
Well, I stayed in it. I was actually hoping that it would come back to the 21 before NVIDIA reported. And if NVIDIA had crapped the bed and dropped the same amount, then AMD would have as well. But it didn't. It took off instead. Okay. So I just took my profits and ran.
All right. I was just curious, trying to learn from you because you're the pro at this.
And by the way, something else I did with NVIDIA, besides buying a small tranche here, the other thing that I did was I did a straddle. It's an option strategy.
Oh, you did?
I did a straddle right down here. So a straddle means you buy a put and you buy a call.
Yeah.
At the same price.
Yeah, you're basically hoping for a big move. If it stays flat, you lose, but you
That's
made a
right.
big move.
Yeah, a big
Yeah.
move either way.
Either way, yeah, correct.
So it could have gone down just as much, and I would have made just as much money.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a big position,
Hmm.
but I made like $6,000. I closed it the day that Nvidia gapped way up there.
Yeah.
So it was basically a 1 day trade.
Hey,
But
making
straddles are good.
six rand a day is not bad.
Yeah, so the straddle, the break even on the straddle, it was at 305, same time when I bought the position, and the break even was 320.
Oh wow.
Up here.
Okay.
So it went to 390. So 70 points. It would have been the same on the downside. I think the break even on the downside was like 280, something like that. So it would have had to gone below 280 to make money. Yeah. But that was just a one-time strategy. And that strategy is good for things that will move a lot. It's very binary. It either moves a lot or it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, just I don't want anybody taking this advice, and next thing you know, they're all doing straddles. It's very rare to get a massive move.
It's very rare. It's something that can work well on biotech stocks that are waiting for FDA approval.
Right.
If they get the approval, they take off. If they don't get it, they crash.
Right.
So straddles are good for things like that. Straddles sometimes are good for earnings, but it has to be a stock like Nvidia that everybody is watching and will move a lot one way or the other.
Yeah.
So,
good.
You know,
all right,
like
you want to take a look at software? Sorry, we're getting close to your time.
Sure. No problem. Yeah, so if I go back to this right here and I put this back on and I take software off and run the scan, and now these are the software names. Palantir.
Palantir. Everybody's, I hear Palantir all over the place.
And look who's number 2.
Yeah, see, they report next week, I think.
Yeah. You know who is the founder of this company?
I do not.
It's Tom Siebel.
Ah, I did not know that. Siebel. Okay.
Tom Siebel. So let's take a look at this one. So it hasn't broken out yet. About 34 is the breakout point. So you can see that it's run up into earnings. And I talked about this on here a couple of weeks ago about, buying an option 3 weeks before earnings. Some of these names that usually run up, the strong ones, the big cap, the 8 companies that are moving the market.
Right.
Buy a call 3 weeks before and sell it, get out of it just before earnings. So that would have worked on this one too.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Let's see here's the other ones. So if I move this over to my scan dump, this is a cool trick for anybody using stock charts. I just create one with a name that appears at the top of my list.
Right.
I call it scan dump. It's just a place I can dump all of
temporary
after I do a search, after I do a scan, just a place I can dump them all into and then play around with them.
Yeah.
So now I can, sort it by percent change. I can sort it by close. If I want to find the cheapest ones, I can sort it by scooter. If I want to find the strongest, that's where Palantir ends up there.
Right.
So if we look at some of the other ones, MongoDB, I don't know if they've reported yet.
I don't know.
Okta, Shopify reported. And they had a big run up. Now they've come back and look where they are.
Yeah, right there.
Right on the 21-day moving average. That's actually, I want to remember that one. That might be a good one to buy right there. Right on the 21-day. So you can see how many software stocks there are.
Yeah, look at that. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's hundreds of them. So on these, New Relic was an interesting one. Just saw that right here. They reported last week. And they actually beat. They actually beat on the top and bottom line. And that's this red open candle right here. So that means they opened way down here and they closed way up here.
Right.
So if you had watched the earnings, waited for the reaction, and saw, and they beat top and bottom line, and they opened way down here at 75. If you jumped in at 75 and sold at 81,
Yeah. The thing
there's
about software, that's both an area you and I spent decades in.
right.
And I think selling software today is going to be it's going to be like it's going to be very hard. Cutting license fees, maintenance, beating you up on maintenance fees. Oh man, it's going to be. It's not so much the last quarter. It's forecast. They've got to. It's got to be tough. I'm hearing from people in software. Pipelines are going out. Days. It's just everything's hard today.
Yeah, the interesting thing about software is it's kind of similar to the .com craze
Mm-hmm.
back in 2000,
I remember
where
it well.
where all a company had to do, I mean,
Dot
you could
com. Dot com.
put a
Dot
.com
com.
at the end of your name. You could be selling pet food,
Yeah, I
put a
remember.
put a .com at the end of your name, and everybody buys it. Well, now it's
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah. Well, let's
You can
talk about
just
that because I think that I actually see lots of similarities, but when I think about the .com craze, it was really a couple of successive waves. The first wave was the hardware providers, right? Cisco and Sun.
yeah,
Then it was software,
right.
right? Again, I think a lot of the .com kind of crazy stuff ended up burning money. They went bust.
Oh, yeah,
But
no
out
question.
of that came Amazon and others. That's why I think NVIDIA was a great call on your behalf, because I think they are the Cisco of this era, or at least this time frame. Is that fair?
Actually, well, yeah, you might kind of compare it that way, but NVIDIA has so many different ways that they can make money.
Hmm.
AI is just one of them. I mean, one of the reasons they had such great earnings was because of the data center.
Right.
So data center is one. AI, they're a big AI player. They're a big player in EVs
Sure.
and
Okay.
and autonomous driving. They are a big player in so many different facets. So if the economy grows at all, NVIDIA
Yeah.
will always be a player. They will always be included in any kind of technology change.
Yeah. No. And again, I guess where I was going that is, again, if anybody knows my story, I worked at Cisco for a year or something as a consultant, and there was about 18 or 24 months where their stock split like every 6 months or something because they were
Right,
just everybody had to buy their gear, right? They were the only
right.
place to buy gear.
Yeah.
Today, I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people today are creating their own data centers, for lack of a better term, around AI and doing their own models and you know, Nvidia is going to have. They're going to own it for several quarters at least, I think.
Yes, no question. And they're a very well-run company as well.
Yeah.
So, and Cisco was too back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. I see a lot of similarities. You're right. I do think there's going to be a lot of companies that just slap AI on their name or they're selling, and they're not really AI companies. But that doesn't stop them from trying. It's
Well,
going to be weird.
you remember when you and I worked at Splunk,
Yep.
and Splunk would always talk about machine learning,
Yeah. ML. Yep.
and our customers always tried to say, "Well, isn't that AI?"
Yeah.
And
I
we made a point of saying, "No, machine learning is not AI."
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, we
Yeah,
wouldn't be doing
but
that
today,
today. No.
you just have a whiff of machine learning, and you're slapping an AI name on it.
Of course, we would lead every presentation with it today, probably. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And again,
absolutely.
neither of us have been there for years, so this is not
Right.
any specific advice. It's just two friends chopping it up.
Yep. But my next screenplay is going to be all about that. For
Wow.
those folks listening that don't know, I wrote a screenplay about Nicholas Darvis. He's one of the
Yeah.
books in my book section.
Yeah.
How I made $2 million in the stock market,
Yeah.
and I've got a few managers and folks in Hollywood that are looking at it, reviewing it.
Nice.
But if anyone on your channel knows any producers at Amazon or
Yeah.
anywhere, any
You never
producers,
know. Yeah.
you never know. That's right, you never know.
Yeah.
So
If you want to take a look at the screenplay or know someone that can maybe make a move on it, I've read an early version of it. It was very well done and exciting.
It's very cool. It's a very cool story. Yeah.
Well,
All
do
right,
me a
that's
favor,
about.
flash the newsletter, and we will let you go with your Memorial Day weekend.
All righty. So if anyone wants to join the newsletter, just send me a note to breakpointtrading@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to add you.
Very cool. Well, we will be back at it next week.
Hopefully we won't miss another Sunday.
No, we won't. We won't. Not for a while. My daughter surprised us coming back, so that discombobulated me.
Tell her to stay away.
No, she can come home anytime.
Tell her not on a Sunday.
Not on a Sunday. That's right.
Or she could join the meeting next time.
There you go. All right, buddy. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Have a good weekend. Take care.